At this moment in our history, we are at crossroads of significant and momentous movements in our world and in our story as IBVM women of the Loreto branch of Mary Ward's Institute. We can stop and look through a trifold prism, looking back at 200 years of history, looking forward to our soon-to-be union with the CJs to become one Mary Ward family, and looking at our current reality, a reality where the world is paralysed by a pandemic and where our life and our health are constantly before our eyes. It is in this context that I would like to announce and convoke our General Congregation for 2022. It will take place in Manresa in Spain from the 6th to the 28th of October 2022. The dynamic for our General Congregation will be one of looking back with gratitude, looking forward with faith, hope, and love and joy, and celebrating our current reality as well. Each province and region will be represented at our General Congregation with elected delegates and with ex officio members. We hope that there will be CJs present at our congregation too. At this moment in time, it is our ardent hope and prayer that we will be able to gather physically for our General Congregation at that time. But this will become clearer in the coming year. And if it is not possible, we will have to think creatively about other alternatives. October 2022 will be a significant moment in our General Congregation story. But it is just one event. The preparation process will be a very important process and will engage all of us. It is important that we all become actively engaged in the process of preparation, actively listening to the Spirit in a journey of what Pope Francis calls synodality. We will have conversation circles and communities and a time when we can listen to one another, when we can share our truth, and when we can grow and hear what is the hope for our planet today. We invite each one of you at this time to enter positively and fully into the preparation process, whether at community level, province level, and institute level. The theme for our General Congregation is Francis Teresa Ball's profession motto, "The mercies of the Lord I will sing forever." Our beautiful logo was first used in the 2015 booklet, The Just Soul, and it shows two women embracing our world. Perhaps this is Mary and Elizabeth at the Visitation. Perhaps it is Mary Ward and Francis Teresa Ball. Perhaps it is a CJ and an IBVM. Or perhaps it is you and another friend. Whoever, we are embracing the world into a new future. And we hope and pray that the GC 2022 will be a time of blessing for each one of us.
The mercies of the Lord I will sing forever. I hear and sense this line of Psalm 89, which was the motto of Teresa Ball, resounding in our worldwide institute in every continent today. This rings true both for us IBVMs and perhaps unaware and unnoticed by all in Congregatio Jesu as well, which in Teresa Ball's time was the Institute of the Blessed Virgin Mary that she crossed the Irish Sea to enter. In her lifetime, Teresa Ball never saw herself as separate from the congregation that Mary Ward started, who on her deathbed, when her companions were scattered and living in secret, wished and longed for all to be there. This year, we celebrate the bicentenary of the Loreto branch that became separate due to historical and political reasons. This branch too had its shoots, but today, after all the reunions, we now come closer to where the story began. God, that we may be one. We are blessed to have an immensity of wisdom as we stand on the shoulders of giants who are now our cloud of witnesses. This is a time to commemorate all that has been. God's fidelity through the undaunting spirit and enthusiasm of our sisters who left home and country knowing that they might never return. They traveled for months, crossing oceans and seas, climbing mountains and wading through the deep to bring God's love through the ministry of education to the neglected, the girl child, and the women who were considered unimportant in society. This legacy of educating women continues as we pioneer and become relevant to the needs of our time today in varied ministries. We celebrate the courage of our sisters who bid farewell to ministries and people where we can no longer serve, as well as welcoming the new where our presence is still needed. In the past few years, we have celebrated several jubilees. And this year, we celebrate with gratitude the Ruby Jubilee of Peru, the centenary of the Eastern Africa province, along with the bicentenary of our Loreto branch. We celebrate our Ignatian tradition, and as the Institute in Ireland expanded, each founding superior of a new mission was presented with a copy of the constitutions, fondly known as the Black Book. Bound by common constitutions and a general superior, the foundations of unity were laid.
Today we are living in a time of exponential change. Decisions and information move at lightning speeds. Our societies are broken by insufferable injustice and a disregard for our planet. We are the privileged and the oppressed. We are a generation of consumers. We are the pious and the feminists. We're old and young, prayerful and passionate, and everything in between. Hungry, hurt, able, other-abled. Pandemic is our lived reality today. The crippling isolation and suffering takes its toll. Still, we are undeterred in our faith and our hope. Whether we are mystics, activists, artists, advocates, and educators, we are engaged. We are engaged in our world. Our calls echo the needs of our time. We are invited out into a world where we bear witness to our faith while being conscious of where we are making the greatest impact with our limited resources. And even in the reality of our diminishment in many parts of the world, we have crossed borders, we have gone to where the need is greatest, worked toward the end of human slavery wherever we find it. In our ministries, we work to balance financial sustainability. We discern the shared responsibilities in community houses, in apartment living, in formation houses, and even in the safety of assisted living places where we come to understand the shape of our life and mission. Co-creating our way helped us in the practice of deep listening. We're still learning. Mary Ward International makes intervention and service possible for people and projects in the most underserved places. We have opened our circle of mission to a greater extent with colleagues, Mary Ward companions, and succeeded in moving toward a meaningful union with our CJ sisters and companions around the world. In Pope Francis's disposition of listening through synodality, we recognize all God's people of goodwill. We feel moved to a oneness that is shared in the radical love of Jesus. We recognize that we are the pastoral presence of Christ in the world. This meaningful shift moves us away from individualism and clericalism into ownership and responsibility for our life, our neighbor, and our planet. This is our religious life. Our feminine Ignatian contemplation is a prophetic example, practiced and lived for this changing time. We are able to own our charism by being discerning and generous women of integrity, justice, freedom, and joy.
Embracing the future. As we recognize and thank God for what we are already doing, let us look at some pointers towards the future. Pope Francis, in his 2 encyclical letters, that is Laudato Si on care of our common home and Fratelli Tutti, which talks about fraternity and social friendship, has made several calls which could help us to reflect further on our future as an institute. He sends out a clarion call to rediscover new ways of engaging in politics, new ways of engaging with society, and religion that are grounded in a culture of encounter and friendship rather than fear and self-interest. We are called to be good Samaritans, good neighbors. We are called to overcome prejudices, to overcome our historical barriers, personal interests, and to be that good Samaritan to refugees or people fleeing from poverty, war, and conflicts. There is a clear call to stop selfishness, global indifference, to stop the culture of wastage, breeding unemployment, racism, trafficking, poverty, and slavery. I hear us being invited to go outside the self in order to find a fuller existence in another. We are being called to have the capacity to love according to a universal dimension, since we are all one. We are one humanity and creation. Fratelli Tutti reminds us that nobody can go through life in isolation, and the pandemic has been a good lesson. It has become clear that we are all connected, that we are all one. The future is calling us to walk the paths of renewed encounter, promotion of peace. And peace is connected to forgiveness, truth, justice, and mercy. The Pope reminds us of the need for being at peace with oneself, an inner peace closely related to care for ecology and for the common good, because lived out authentically, it is reflected in a balanced lifestyle together with a capacity for wonder, which takes us to a deeper understanding of life. In the light of these calls, therefore, where do we see ourselves in the world as religious as we move into the future? Where do we see ourselves as IBVMs in relation to our GC 2014 calls? As we go forward during these times of uncertainty, we need to plant seeds of hope that are rooted in our faith and common humanity.
Hacia el futuro, unión. Cuando comenzamos nuestra andadura en el 2015, desde el principio resonó muy fuerte la llamada sobre la unidad. Crear la unidad que nos impulse más allá de las fronteras. Sentimos la unidad desde esos deseos de unión en nuestra interculturalidad, en nuestra internacionalidad, como instituto. Algo muy legítimo en sí mismo. Pero de ahí, muy suavemente, fuimos ensanchando nuestros límites hacia toda la familia Mary Ward. Es cierto que ya veíamos la importancia de la cercanía entre las CJs y nosotras. No era algo nuevo. Hemos estado tratando de dar pasos y forjando juntas diferentes cosas durante mucho tiempo. El contacto con ellas, el conocimiento entre nosotras, los procesos que hemos formado juntas, nos llevaron a preguntar si no era el momento adecuado para tomar nuevas iniciativas en las que esa unión pudiera formalizarse. Era algo que no podíamos hacer sin el consentimiento de todos nuestros miembros, los de las dos congregaciones. Fue entonces cuando en los resultados de la encuesta del 2020 nos sorprendieron los números. El 96% del instituto y el 88,5% de la congregación Jesús estaban a favor de la unidad. Podríamos seguir adelante. En la parte final de nuestras llamadas de la congregación general, tenemos una parte sobre nuestra relación con la congregación Jesús. Tenemos que aprovechar todas las oportunidades para desarrollar relaciones más estrechas. Las oficinas conjuntas que hemos ido realizando durante estos años son oportunidad para el futuro. La ONG de las Naciones Unidas, la Oficina de la Causa de Mary Ward, JPIC, la Red de Educación de Mary Ward y la Oficina de Comunicaciones. También se crearon otras iniciativas desde la base, como la Comunidad de Filipinas, donde estamos viviendo, compartiendo vida, fe, misión y dones. Esa es otra oportunidad para la unidad. La mutua colaboración también en la formación permanente y en el apoyo al liderazgo que se ha ido desarrollando tan fuertemente en Latinoamérica. Además, esos otros momentos y acontecimientos que crean un sentido de familia. Reuniones conjuntas de los equipos de liderazgo, celebraciones litúrgicas, la aplicación de la peregrinación de Mary Ward, reuniones de liderazgo ampliado conjuntos, la casa de oración, formación, escuela de verano, las oportunidades para convivir en misión como en Sudán del Sur y en Zambia, las hermanas que van a aprender un nuevo idioma en una experiencia de interrama. Son muchas las cosas que hay. Hay desafíos por delante, miedos, incertidumbres, esperanzas, alegría. Son ingredientes de la vida misma. El camino hacia la unión con la Congregatio Jesu tiene que ver con nuestra propia capacidad de desprendernos y dejar que Dios haga su obra a través de nosotras.
In this convocation, we have looked at celebrating our past with gratitude, at reflecting on our present with hope and with trust, and looking to the future, looking forward to the day of union. At this point, I would like to introduce to you our facilitators. Dr. Robert Moore from Ireland is well known to us as Bobby, and Sister Peluca Benavente is a Spanish sister, a missionary sister of Our Lady of Africa. They are working with our preparation team. We have 6 IBVMs on this team. We have Kathleen Fitzpatrick from Ireland, Gertrude Malia from Eastern Africa, Igora Pinto and Judy Nikesa from Casa Loreto, Mercia Richards from Australia, and Prabina Rudum from South Asia. They have already begun their work and are meeting frequently online. Soon you will be hearing from them as they invite you to be part of the process of preparation. Mirroring the words of Pope Francis' book, Let Us Dream, the Path to a Better Future, let us strive to build that better world so that IBVM we may contribute to a better world for all humanity. A world where the poor and the planet are central to our thinking, to our prayer, and to our journey towards GC22. Today, I extend an invitation to everyone to become part of the General Congregation process. Let us reflect together on who we want to be as Mary Ward women in this 3rd decade of the 3rd millennium. Jesus say, Amen.